Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics Non-Classics. This is episode number 2386, number 2280. I got two Marvel trades for two series that actually started I think just this year, which is something though. This one, when I saw this one was solicited, I was surprised about this series back because I love the last volume they did for it. Like, it ended shockingly about 7 years ago. And now we got volume 3 for this series. Scarlet Witch. Who would have thunk though, basically, Marvel makes Scarlet Witch? I do have a theory of why. WandaVision. And of course her appearance in Doctor Strange. That is presumably the reason why I think they brought back Scarlet Witch as an ongoing series. Now, one thing it does have in common with the the previous volume of the series, is that each issue is mostly standalone but loosely connected to each other. That's one thing interesting I like about it. One thing it has over the previous volume, the artist is here for more than one issue. Yeah. Written by Steve Orlando, the artwork for the first 4 issues is done by Sarah Pichelli. Issue 5 is, by the way, this book collects the first 5 issues of Scarlet Witch Volume 3 and the annual. Which, when I saw this annual published, I'm like, really? The book is not even published, it's not even a year yet, and we have an annual? Well, there's a reason for it, I'll get to that. By the way, the book is called The Last Door. Yeah, that's the loosely connected story we got here. Of course, Sarah Pichelli, the first 4 issues. Issue 5 is Russell Durman, who is noteworthy for doing the Jane Foster storybook. Sarah Pichelli was the co-creator of Miles Morales Spider-Man, with Matt McMillan, and Carlos Nito does the annual. There's also another story in here, Unlikely Forecasts, written by Stephanie Williams, and artwork by Chris Allen. Now, this series here, one thing interesting though about this series is that it brings a character from the MCU to the comics. I believe this is the 3rd original MCU character who made debut movies first, and then they made a comic version of it. The first was Phil Coulson, who died, who was around for a while, got killed by Deadpool, got revived by Mephisto, become sort of a semi-antagonist for Jason Aaron's run, and of course he got taken out with Heroes Reborn. The second one anyways, not the original one. Then there was, actually, right after he was created, brought to comics thanks to the miniseries Battle Scars. Then it came Dr. Eric Stalvig, a character who was on comics for like a year. He first showed up in Avengers Standoff, and he died prior to the events of Secret Empire by kissing a fragment of the Cosmic Cube. The Cosmic Cube can do anything! If you're curious where I got that from, that was basically a Fruit Pie ad that it's a recurring gag of Linkara show. Atop the fourth wall. Now, mostly put, this book has the debut of a brand new character. Who is he, might ask? Darcy Lewis. Yes, who, like Eric Stalvig, made her first appearance in the MCU in the very first Thor movie, which came out, here's a shocker, 12 years ago. And yes, I did see this movie in theaters. I did not see Thor Dark World in theaters. I missed that one. Because that was a period of time where half the time that we wanted to go to movies, and my mom was not basically interested at all. Nope. So I missed that one, a few others that year. One big one I did see that year was The Wolverine, which I thought was really good, except that the villain was kind of weak. Yeah. But I did see the following 2 sequels, Thor Ragnarok, which was awesome, and Thor Love and Thunder, which I did like the film, I didn't love it. Of course, one of the major problems in the movie was special effects. Of course, also the infamous scene where Thor had to go butt naked for no reason. And apparently it was a scene that Hemsworth didn't like. Hemsworth's wife didn't like this at all. It was something forced upon him by the director. Which, of course, as much as Chris Hemsworth loves playing Thor, he, of course, he probably could play Thor again, but without the guy who directed that movie, Taika Waititi. But in the case of Darcy Lewis, who surprisingly was, here's the strange thing about her. She was in the 4-star movie, I believe she was in the second one. And then, for some strange reason, she was dropped from the MCU. Like, I don't remember her pop up in the other series. She may have popped in WandaVision, I'm not sure, but that's basically what we got here. So, mostly put, basically, we have Scarlet Witch that basically a shop in Lottkill, New York. Yes. Also has spare time to be a superhero. Yeah, so she has a book sub called The Emporium. Yep. And she has a thing here called The Last Star. And each issue's got a specific guest star associated with someone who knows Wanda or somebody basically. Well, and there's also reference in her book series. In the first issue, her brother shows up and she wonders, "Hey, PHO, how's my niece doing?" Off in space. Yep. Yeah, I think he doesn't really know exactly what's going on with her. But it's interesting the PH shows in the book. After all, he did show in the previous book, so it makes sense. He showed up for like a couple issues. Now, here's the thing called The Last Door. This is basically MacGuffin. Like, anyone opens the door, like, oh, that's basically a new thing for me to solve. And it's a woman from Italy. Help? My pleasure. What is this? Is it English? Who are you? Quicksilver. God of speed and thief of gravity. I caught you. Yes, my agent. And of course, she mentioned she's got a wife. So yes, this woman is a lesbian. Do I have a problem with this? No, I don't. Because it's the original character. Mostly put, basically. One thing I thought was kind of weird, though, is that Wanda is drawn differently. Like, here in the cover, that's no Wanda. But when Sabercelli draws her, I'm not, actually, no, I don't think it's Sabercelli's fault. I think it's the colorist. For some reason, her skin is darker than usual. I'm like, yeah, and this is supposed to be Scarlet Witch. Normally, she's, like, very white. My guess is because she's Eastern European. My guess is because she's from, she's from the area where High Evolutionary is from. My guess is probably the reason why they gave her this look is because she's from Eastern Europe. Well, with Bulgaria, I think it is. Yes, which I think that's where she's from. And that's probably the reason why she looks like this. And here's the thing. Quicksilver looks normal. Yeah, here's the thing. Here's Quicksilver. He looks perfectly normal. Nice, white. No how I picked it, though he does basically change his outfit. But why the heck is Wanda looking different? I don't get this. They're siblings. Why the heck look different? So, they have to deal with the Corruptor, and of course, that's mostly put exactly who to deal with in the very first issue. Of course, Jeanette Reynolds was with her wife. Corruptor gets defeated. And of course, basically that, well, she talks to Raka, who is basically Jeanette's wife. Raka, is it? I'm Wanda. Apologies for my talent. I do love a demon. You are a strange woman, Wanda, but thank you. Thank you for being here. Jeanette, so me. Your wife is quite impressive. She always has been. And of course, basically, she has this amulet, which does play a minor role after this. So, yeah, Darcy just keeps on the shop. And of course, then we have a visit by Vision. Yep, Vision. Yeah, she's kind of like a she refers to herself, makes Viv a little more comforting, is that she refers to herself as a sort of a surrogate mother to her, basically like another mother to her, because, well, her mom is basically kind of like a sister to her because her mom is based upon her brain waves. Yes, they brought this up. Basically, this whole issue is basically sort of a loose follow-up to Tom King's Vision book. If you haven't checked the book out, the book is really good. There is a mention here about murdering a man. That man that her mother murdered was the Grim Reaper, Wonder Man's villain brother, who she killed by whacking to death with a freaking cookie pan, and then buried him in the backyard. Yes, seriously. And then she killed herself, and her brother both died too. They also make up stuff with the champions. This issue is so good. There's also like a demon pops up in here too, which is so nice. And it's a good standalone issue. And she goes off, and then of course it goes to Borrowed Name. And here we have Walrus, Blackout, Brothers Grimm. Yeah, Wanda basically just basically beats the crap out of them. And then Storm shows up. Yes, Storm. So first we have Quicksilver, and then we have Wtich, now Storm. Now here's something interesting about Storm. Storm does not have big history with Wanda like Quicksilver does, because it's basically her brother. Wtich, that's obvious, that's perfectly fine, but this is interesting. Storm. Because Storm has very rarely interacted with Wanda over the years. Yeah, Storm has been around since the 1970s. Wanda has been around since the 60s. And these two have very rare... I think this may have been the first these two ever met, that I can think of. And of course, then she goes sort of her 80s look for no reason. Like, here she is, basically, with this outfit. And then she goes back to her 80s look because of... They didn't mention stuff with X-Men because of what happened with Magneto. Because Magneto, according to the original retcon before Rick Remender had the retcon it. And of course, basically, like... And of course, the reference... Actually, I think the last time they met prior to this was during the events of the first Hellfire Gala, which ended with Scarlet Witch dying, and then, of course, revealing what Toll was responsible for it. And of course, they mentioned the trial of Magneto, which was resurrected. Of course, issue 3, her sister's in town. Yes. I think Sam Lowe is going with the premise, who wrote this book. He's going with the premise that the recommended retcon was stupid and still believes Lorna is Magneto's. Lorna is basically Wanda's sister. And, of course, Magneto is still the father of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. He's going that premise because I'm sure even he, like everybody else, he's probably one of those people who doesn't care for that retcon. He probably just... I think he's just ignoring it. So you have Great Thing here. Open the door. Who is it? And we see something from the Tiny Universe. Yeah. Really good horror issue. I do appreciate this. And of course is finally the middle stuff. Issue just really good. Of course we got the Crack Cocoa briefly. And then Warrior Woman shows up. Now, Warrior Woman is someone who is no flying up Hercules. This is Hippolyta. You're thinking, wait, Hippolyta's a DC character. What you doing in Marvel? Okay, the best way to explain this is that she is a minor character at Marvel. She's not that well known. She was actually part of the Fearless Avengers book, a book Colin Bunn wrote. That was really good. That was canceled due to low sales. Yeah. So issue 4 basically is Wanda versus Warrior Woman. I think Warrior Woman is supposed to be Marvel's minor take on Wonder Woman. That's mostly exactly what it is. And it's a really good issue. Probably a lot of fun. 5, in a way, kind of wraps up the story arc in a way. Yep. That's mostly exactly what this is. It's a wrap-up. And then we have, I think it's Magneto. Yeah, Magneto pops up here and he's alive? Yeah. And then we have the annual Prelude to Contents of Chaos. Contents of Chaos is a series of annuals that's still publishing right now. I think the last thing that came up was for Spider-Gwen. It's a series of about 6-7 annuals that basically involves various characters fighting each other. This book here is Wanda vs. Cthulhu. Oh, by the way, Wanda's outfit she wears in this book, it's the outfit from the previous volume of the book, which is great, the fact they kept that outfit for her. So, any special guest star in here? Well, the stuff here with New Salem, but there is Agatha Harkness, which this is the first time that Wanda has encountered this version of Agatha Harkness when she's young. Like, never gets old. And when she sees her, it's like, Agatha, you're young? And she's like, I've been young all along, my dear. No, you haven't. That was something that basically they had to do because of the actress who plays in WandaVision. That's literally the only reason why she looks like this. But hey, she was turned from an old lady to a hot lady. Yep. I found this annual to be really good. Yeah. This book is just amazing. I do recommend people checking it out because this book is that good. I give this book a 10 out of 10. Yep. This next book here, I thought initially this was a mini-series. And then all of a sudden, oh, it's still publishing about 10 issues. Okay. So we have Red Goblin. And you're thinking, what the heck is this? Red Goblin. Was this the storyline from Amazing Spider-Man? Yes, it was. But, excuse me, by the way, this book collects the first 5 issues of this ongoing series. I'm presuming it's ongoing because this book is written by Alex Penkadell. Artwork is done by Juan Balazia. Now, here's the thing. The first 4 issues is the first story arc. 5 is a part of the Carnage Reigns crossover. Yes, it's a crossover between one issue of this book, along with issues of Carnage and Miles Morales Spider-Man. Yep. Now, Red Goblin, this guy here, is Normie Osborn, as in the first grandchild of Norman Osborn. And Norman is like a supporting character in his grandson's book. And his mother, Liz Allen, is mentioned, but surprisingly, I think she makes a minor appearance in issue 5, but not really a big role here. Mostly, but it's all about Normie. Now, this is a spin-off book. Yeah, of Venom. Yeah, mostly put you have... There's also mention of Stanley in here, who is Normie's half-brother, even though that the strange thing with Stanley is that his father is Harry, but that Harry was a clone of Harry, and of course the mother is now White Cat. Yes. Originally she was Menace, and then of course became, of course, this other character here. She has not seen her son in years, because she basically just didn't want to be a mother. Even though she got pregnant by Harry, Harry got her pregnant, but after she gave birth, she didn't want anything to do with the baby at all. She just moved on, did her own thing. And, of course, as mentioned with Stanley, like, he gets sponge, he gets waffles. Yep. And one thing I at least appreciate about this book is that, well, Normie is being taught. There's references here to the Green Goblin, which, fine. And it's mentioned apparently that Liz is busy, so... And, of course, yes, there's obvious references to the Green Goblin, because, yes, Norman was the Green Goblin. But I appreciate, though, the fact that this basically is just, like, he's trying to help out his grandson. There's stuff here with the Goblin Nation. Yeah, they're in here. Yeah. So yeah, and of course Harry, and of course he gets attacked by stuff with the, yeah. Norman is great as a grandfather. He basically protects his grandson, and then some reason Phil Urich is resurrected. Now I don't remember when he died, but here he is. Long live the Goblin King! Phil Urich is alive. Yeah, and you have, yeah, it looks like Norman's a grandfather. He's still ripped. For some reason I'm like, did the artist forget to draw the scar that he has? Oh my gosh, they forgot. Yes, because Norman Osborn's got this scar in his belly from when the Goblin Glider stabbed him back in the 70s. And thanks to the Goblin formula, it healed him, but it left the scar, and I think the artist forgot to draw it. He, of course, has had the scar for years. And look, here's Stanley. Yes, Stanley's got a little bigger. Yep. Yeah, the whole thing of him being Red Goblin, and of course, Norman turns into Red Goblin. And, well, Norman is a good guy, and at one point we see Go Goblin here too in this series. But it's not Norman, it's somebody else in the suit. And it's weird where it's like a symbiote. It's really odd. Liz pops up again too. Yeah. Yeah, and then of course basically we get more stuff here, and then basically like yeah, Norman gets basically the especially like Stanley does. Then we have the whole thing with the Carnage Reigns stuff, and then yeah, then we have it where at one point we have the whole thing of basically Normie trying to have the symbiote removed from him by Norman, but it doesn't exactly work, but he keeps them anyways. Ends up fighting the Gold Goblin, which, by the way, like I said, is not Norman. Yeah, and of course he got kicked out. Here for alone. Yeah, and then issue 5 comes the Carnage Reign stuff, which is just basically just Normie just witnessing, like, you see his, mostly put, because Clea's cat, he's alive, he's a new symbiote, so all crazy stuff here with Alchemix Tower affected by symbiotes. Then we have, look like, Stanley, I think it is. And then here comes, basically, have Liz Allen being the hot mom in a bathtub, about to be stabbed by her own stepson. Yeah, and then we see outside, we see the female Electro, look like Taskmaster. I can't tell who this is. And they deal with the whole thing with the symbiotes with the Carnage Reign stuff. Because that's mostly what this issue is. It's mostly put Normie witnessing the events of Carnage Reigns. It's a tie-in, but not. But it's mostly put just from the point of view of Normie. This book is still pretty good. I give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. Okay, so that's episode review. I might have time to do one more because I'm almost done with episode 4. So I'll get a chance for episodes 3 and 4 of One Piece next. Okay, thanks, Vio.